Welcome back to Cafecito in Christ, where your story has a seat, your past has no power, and the Holy Spirit is always in the room. I hope you brought your cafecito because we're gonna get deep into some testimonies today. This one is very special for me because in honor of my birthday month, I will be sharing my personal testimony. Only my closest friends that have walked through it with me know about it. So I hope you brought your tissues because you might need them. Today, I have two sisters in Christ with me. I had the pleasure and the blessing of meeting them at Bible study. I have Darlene and Syria.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys for being here. So I want to start with my journey. I was raised Catholic, but I converted to Christian when I was married a long time ago. And I feel now, looking at it from a deeper perspective, that it was more like the excitement of like knowing about Jesus, but never really establishing a relationship with him. So I was doing like the Bible study, I was doing the worship, I was in the worship team, I was doing everything, but I feel not that it wasn't genuine, but it was more like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and it's for God, but it was never, I guess like I didn't have like the actual meaning or like deep into it. So I remember my marriage wasn't bad. I just feel like we married too young. And now looking back at it, I feel like I used it as an escape because my childhood with my parents weren't the best. It was like they were both present, but not present. They were not emotionally available. So I had to, like when my parents would fight, they would be like, well, caliéntale la comida a tu papá. And I'd be like, well, why? Like, that's not my job. Or my dad, iron my uniforms.
Oh, yeah.
So it was always like a added responsibilities plus an expectation of you need to get A's because if you don't, like you're grounded, which, and I'm like, I didn't go out anyway. So it was more like you can't go out. You have to watch your brother. So I just felt like I was already doing that, and then the constant, we're going to split up. Think about who you're going to go with. And it's me still being in school, like I don't need to think about all that stuff.
Yeah.
So when my then boyfriend proposed, I was like, yes. And not to say that I didn't have feelings. I know at the time I felt I was in love, but I think, it was more infatuation. And, at that age, I was 17. So what do I know about love?
Puppy love.
Yes. So we got married and I feel like he still wanted to do like his friend's stuff. So he would work 4 days out of the week. And so he had 3 days off. And when I would ask, hey, like, let's go out on a date or like, let's do something. Oh, I already have plans with my friend. It was always that type of stuff. So I was a stay-at-home wife. I would like cook, like actual cook, do the house stuff. So I felt like very unappreciated. And our marriage started going downhill. And I remember praying to God and saying like help him like have a change of heart because I'm feeling like neglected. I feel like a maid. I feel like the same cycle all over again, but like now I'm married. Now the only difference was now I don't have my parents to tell me what to do. Kind of. I was called a Jesus freak because at some point I was very into church. And I remember sobbing to God and like asking him like, help my marriage out. And I felt like he didn't hear me and my husband didn't change. And not that he was bad. I just feel like, again, we were young. Yeah. So I kind of rebelled. I decided like no more. When I gave him like the divorce papers, he started doing things that I had asked. And I felt guilty because I'm like, thank you, but like they don't mean anything anymore.
Yeah.
So I stopped going to church. I stopped everything because I was like, well, where were you? You know, like, let alone things happening in my childhood that I'm like, you weren't there either.
Yeah.
So like I've invested all this time. I've tried to pour my heart out to you and do kingdom work, and you're not saving my marriage. So I was very upset. I was very mad, and I left. I ended up leaving. I was supposed to move back with my parents. My dad had said yes, but my mom was like, no, because ¿qué va a decir la gente? What are people going to say? Like, we don't do divorce. Like, people are going to talk. And I'm like, you don't care about my well-being, you know? She was more like, well, if he's not hating you, then, like, you're good. And I'm like, I don't want to be bitter like you.
Right.
I don't want to resent him. And I don't want my kids growing up the way we did. So she was like, well, if you come here, me and your dad are going to have problems because of you.
Wow.
So I ended up going to a friend's house. She talked to her dad, and I was raped there. Damn. When I told my mom, she said, it's your fault. Because if you would have just stayed, then you wouldn't be going through this.
Wow. I'm sorry she said that too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's obvious that I didn't have a good relationship with her at all. I love her now because I resented her for so long.
Yeah.
And I love her now, and she's great, and I've learned to just seeing it differently, you know, like she didn't have her mom, and you know, like I have to give her grace because she maybe tried to do the best with what she could.
Yeah.
But I don't remember how many months I was. I think it was like November, and I moved back with her. Me and my kids were sleeping on the floor in her living room because, you know, like I did this to myself. So how am I gonna expect to be treated or like borrow her bed or something, you know? So she would tell me, like, what are you gonna do with your life? Like, you're not doing anything. Like, you're a disgrace. Like, look at you. That's all you're gonna do. The day I had Ezra, I started getting contractions on my mom's birthday. And I was like, heck no.
You're like, no,
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. Like, you're waiting in there because no. So that was on a Sunday. So on a Monday, I'm still with contractions, but I'm like, okay, you can come now. I remember that Monday she would go in super early to work, and I had a timer on my phone because I had, well, with all my pregnancies, I had the timer because I'm like, I don't want to go to the hospital, and then they're like, oh no, like you're not ready.
Or for kind of contractions.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm like, and me not having a car, I'm like, I'm gonna have to get a ride. I don't want to hear it either.
Yeah.
So when they were 4 minutes apart,
You're like, it's time to go.
my mom was still stirring her coffee, and I'm like, hurry up. I'm like laying on the floor, right? We're all asleep. It's like 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning. And I'm pretending I'm asleep. I'm like, she is not coming with me. There is no way. So I'm like in pain, having contractions, and I'm just like, just go to sleep. I'm just like, hurry up. So as soon as she left, I woke up my dad. I need to go to the hospital, like right now.
He was like, why didn't you tell her?
Yeah, I'm like, he's like, let me just shower. No, like now.
Going yesterday.
Yes. So he takes me, and he feels very uncomfortable. And I'm like, I didn't want to be there by myself, you know? But I'm like, you can go home. It's okay. He was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go home.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to go with the kids because the kids are by themselves. And I'm like, okay. So I'm there. And then they're like, the doctors and nurses were like, are we waiting for the husband? Are we waiting for family? I'm like, no, we're good. They're like, we're not waiting for anybody. I'm like, nope. So I had a C-section. All my babies have been C-sections. And then those doctors were like, are we waiting for dad? I'm like,
You're like, I said no.
yeah, I'm like, no, just, you know.
Mm-mm.
So with him, he's the only one I don't have like pictures where he's like, you know,
Born.
yeah. So it's been a little rough with him because, again, I'm like, God, like, you didn't save my marriage. Where were you when all this happened? So I remember not wanting to have him.
Mm-hmm.
But for me personally, abortion has never been like, it's out of the question.
Yeah.
So I remember praying, and I was so mad at God that even the way I talk to him now, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like embarrassed to even say it, but I would tell him, well, you don't hear me, like anything, right? I'm like, maybe at least you can hear this part, maybe. And I would say, like, there's a lot of couples that pay to get pregnant, you know?
Oh yeah, like surrogates.
Like surrogate.
Yeah. Like that, or just like hormones, or just different things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and sometimes even then, once they get pregnant, they end up having a miscarriage. I'm like, so if you really need to take a baby, like at least, like hear me like this one time, and you can take mine. I'm like, and leave those couples' babies like alone because they're desired, they're gonna be loved, and I'm like, and I don't want mine. Like, how am I gonna love him knowing, I'm like, especially if he ends up looking like them,
Right.
which he does. He does. So I want to say I was maybe 7, 8 months closer to the end. And one day I woke up and I was just crying. I'm like, I can't believe I said this. Like it's not his fault. You know, I wouldn't go to family gather. I wouldn't do anything. Because I'm like, no, I don't want anybody to see me. So then he was born. And he'll ask me a lot of questions like, how come my siblings have a dad and I don't? And even then, I wasn't walking with God still. I would get mad and I would be like, I need to go to the restroom. I'll be right back.
To avoid it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, or my phone's ringing. And he would be like, no, so I'm like, I have it on silent.
You're like, you don't see it, but I do.
Yeah.
It's a mom intuition.
He's so smart that in the future, or with time, he would be like, can I ask you something? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, do you need to go to the restroom? I'm like, no.
He'd ask you before.
He's like, is your phone on silent? And I'm like, no, why? He's like, okay, it's because I want to know how come I don't have a dad. So I'm like, he's like, so you can't say you need to go to the restroom because I just asked you. So then I would get mad. I would be like, stop asking me. Like, just don't ask me. And to this day, I still don't know what to tell him because I don't want to tell him. Like, I don't want to tell him, you know, but I don't want to cover for them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And God has showed me to have grace because their grandparents, when he was a baby, asked me to allow them to be part of his life.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, I didn't want to, but I said I can't do that to him. So I did. I still wasn't legally divorced because he didn't want to sign the papers. So he had told me, since I didn't want to work things out with him, he had asked me, well, at least give him my last name. So because our youngest and then Ezra were close in age, he's like, that way when they're in school, they won't be like, how are you brothers, but you guys don't have the same last name. So I'm like, okay, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
okay, yeah, okay. So there was a time that I took Ezra to the ER and I couldn't afford to get his prescription. So his grandpa had always told me, if you need anything for him, ask me. But I never felt comfortable asking.
Yeah.
Except that one time. I was like, I really need to get his medicine and I really can't afford it. So he was like, take a picture, send it to me, I'll get it. The only thing he asked me was, like, he texted me his last name with a question mark. And I explained why. I never got a reply of like, I'm not going to get it anymore. Nothing. I never heard back from him. Years passed where the family wasn't involved until maybe 2020. So he was born in 2016. So 2020, one of his aunts reached out. And I was like, look, back then he was a baby. So he doesn't remember you. If you come into his life now, he'll know you. Like if you guys walk out on him again.
Yeah.
I'm like, so if you're not going to be consistent, just leave him alone.
Mm-hmm.
So they came back. They met him. They were consistent that first year. Now it's like very sporadically. But again, I wanted to say no. Like, no. I've struggled, I guess, when they need the most, diapers, formula, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But God would tell me, and I still wasn't walking with God, but something in me would be like, that's not his fault. Like, you gotta show grace. And, well, that's what I did. To then now, after that, I got in a very abusive relationship. Me not being healed, some time had passed, maybe 2 years. I wasn't healed, but, me rebelling. I wasn't going to ask God, like, is this for me?
Right.
And he did ask. He's like, hey, because he reached out online asking for prayer. So I'm like, oh, he must be sent from God because he's asking for prayer. But there was no way I was going to ask God, like, is this what you have for me? Because, he doesn't listen to me anyway. So yeah, things were not good. Like it got physical. And now I see God's grace and his hand covering us throughout like all these storms, because I'm like, things could have been very bad.
Yeah, for sure.
And only he knows why he allows certain things to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if Ezra wasn't here, like there's a lot of things that little boy has taught me that I'm like, I don't know, maybe be compassionate towards other people, or just have that empathy, towards other people. Yeah. I still don't fully understand why that happened, but, God knows what he's doing, and I have no other choice but like I trust him now. I'm stuck. I forgot what else I was going to talk about.
It's crazy. I relate on so many levels to your story, but on different sides. In the sense, I grew up without my biological dad, and I had 2 brothers who had theirs. And so I went through the season of, why don't I have my dad? And I went through, I self-harmed a little in middle school because I just couldn't understand, because I felt I wasn't loved. Until I finally got old enough, my mom was like, okay, let me sit you down and tell you why he's not around. Long story short, now he's in prison, definitely belongs in there. I've reached out a few times as an adult, but I'm so grateful he's not in my life, because even with him being in prison, my life has been threatened on so many occasions. So that's one thing where I can sympathize, or I can be that person, like your son, questioning why don't I have my dad. It's for all good reasons. And in the future, it'll unfold. We're not meant to know certain things, but we'll know in the future.
Amen.
And then another aspect of my life happened last year. I was with my best friend at that time, and if she sees this video, I'm sorry for sharing it. We were celebrating her graduation, and we had a big party at her house. And I've known her family for a while and some time, and so I was drinking. I did not know who God was at that time, and I just felt very comfortable. Later, as the day went by, I didn't realize I was blacked out, passed out on the couch, and her cousin took advantage of me. And the next morning I woke up, he wasn't there, he was gone. I was bleeding, I was swollen, I didn't know what had happened. I just would come in and out in random periods of the time in the night and just know it wasn't right, but I was so far off that like I couldn't even protect myself. So 2 days went by, and I finally told my mom and my aunt. My mom took me to the hospital just to make sure everything was fine. Thankfully, everything was. But they told me to tell my friend. And it took me almost a week to tell her, and she made it seem like it was my fault. She said that we were all drinking. It probably wasn't like that. And, like, just made excuses for her cousin. And I understand if that's your close cousin, I could get it. But also, too, like, her being my best friend and being a female, I was like, dang, like, yeah. What do you mean this is my fault? Like, you guys put me to bed. You knew I wasn't even, like, coherent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, And then I was like, how could you let that happen? But in that, now when I look back at it, I was so upset and so hurt at that moment. Whereas when you led our Bible study, there were the two that I realized I haven't forgiven. And I was able to let it go and forgive them and understand that God hasn't met them where they're at yet. And He's healed me enough to know that everybody deserves to be forgiven, regardless where we're at in life.
I'm sorry you went through that.
Yeah,
Thank you. It's made me who I am. So I'm, in a sense, grateful. Of course, going through it sucked, but now on the other side, it's made me a big part of who I am today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can also relate to your story. Grew up in a Mexican household also. My parents were divorced, but they were both very emotionally unavailable also. And my mom deals really bad with postpartum depression anytime she has a baby, and I'm the oldest. So I always got the bad, to the point where like she would beat me. CPS got involved at one point. My dad wasn't really around. My mom would kind of force us on him because he wouldn't ask for us. So it like when I got old enough to be like, I don't want to go, my mom was like, okay, I'm not gonna make you. But I was like, well, I'd rather be with you knowing like I'm gonna get your evil than get his evil. And yeah, like it took a lot for me to forgive my dad too, and my mom. My mom and I worked through it. I think after I turned 18, like we really talked about it, and I was like, look, like you really hurt me. And she's like, I didn't mean to. I wasn't even in the right headspace. I didn't have God in my life. Now she's saved, so our relationship has definitely gotten better. And then my dad, he's not saved yet, but I'm praying for him, and I've done a lot of inner healing with my church and my pastor enough to forgive him. I finally forgave him this year in March. So yeah, and we have we're working on a relationship, and honestly, I tell my husband like if it wasn't for him, I would not have my dad in my life. Like my husband brought me and my dad closer.
What a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I mean, you've been so vulnerable. You too. I'm gonna share mine too. So when I turned 18, I just remember I was so excited I was gonna go get my driver's license. 2 days after my 18th birthday, I got my driver's license that same day. And the day before, I worked at a bakery, and one of my customers came in. I'd seen him a few times, and he asked me out, and I was like, okay, yeah, why not? So I went on a date with him, or we planned a date. We planned to go to the movies to watch. I don't even remember. It was a rated R. I just remember it was action. And I was like, okay. And I was like, shoot, I don't have an ID yet. All I have is a paper saying that I passed my driver's license test.
So you could get in.
Yeah. So we walked up to the little booth where you buy the tickets, and they were like, do you have an ID? And I was like, no, but I have my paper that says I'm 18. And they're like, that doesn't have your picture.
Oh, God.
And I was like, so I can't watch the movie? And they were like, no.
That's
I was
crazy.
like, okay. So I was like, dude, sorry I ruined our date. We walked back to the car, and I just remember he just kept trying to kiss me, and I was like, I don't even know you. Can we at least go get food and get to know each other and go on a couple more dates, and then we'll get more comfortable. And he was just trying to kiss me, and I was like, okay. And he was very pushy, and I was I was so scared of boys. My mom terrified me when I was young. She was like, if you ever get pregnant, you're out of my house. I'm not going to take care of you. I'm not going to take care of your kid. And I was like, oh, mom, I'm a virgin. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was so terrified of boys. This is probably one of my first dates that I've ever been on. And I didn't know that it wasn't normal behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, he really likes me. And he was like, okay, let's go sit in the back of the car. And I was like, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, he was like, oh, do you want to have sex? And I was like, no, no, I'm not comfortable. And he was like, oh, come on, it'll be fun. And I was like, no, I'm not comfortable. And he was like, why are you a virgin? And I was like, yeah, I am. And he was like, oh, then even better. You don't even know me. And I was like,
Wow.
what? He's like, you won't have feelings. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Wow.
I had my whole future plan. And I was like, no. And he's like, come on. And I just kept saying no, no, no. But it got to the point where I was just so tired of saying no that I was like, fine, shut up. Like, yes, fine. And he was like, really? And I was like, I guess. And so, it happened. And I just remember, like, he's like, oh, the condom broke. And I was like, what? Like, I cannot have a kid. Like, I don't even know you. Like, my mom's going to kill me. And he was like, no, like, I'll go buy you a plan B. And I was like, okay. So we go to the pharmacy, we buy it, whatever. And I was like, oh, like, he's still being nice.
Master manipulator.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, he buys me the plan B. And I'm like opening the packet as we're driving back to my car at the movie theater. And I open the packet, like I get the pill and I put it in my hand. And he takes it out of my hand. And he makes a motion like he's throwing it out the window. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't have money to buy another one. And he's like, no, like, he's like, I'll buy you another one. And I was like, okay, like, why'd you throw it out the window? He's like, well, I want to do it again first. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, no, like, I was crying the first time. And he was like, no, like, you'll get used to it. And I was like, no, like, I don't want to. And he was like, well, then I guess you're not going to get your pill.
Wouldn't you?
Wow.
And I was like, oh, like, okay, like, I guess I don't have a choice. So did it again. At the end, he's like, okay, we get out of the car and he pulls a pill out of his pocket. And I'm like, I thought you threw it out the window. He's like, no, I was just kidding.
Wow.
And I was like, screaming. And at the end, he's like, okay, like, he's saying bye to me. He's like, what was your name again? I was like, you don't even know my name? And then whatever, like, I drove home crying. I scrubbed myself. Like, I got in the shower, scrubbed myself literally for 3 hours. I was in the shower till 3 a.m. And I was crying. Like, I couldn't tell my mom. I was like, oh my gosh, like, my mom's gonna be so disappointed in me. I don't know what to do. I didn't tell anyone for years. And then there was this guy that was like really good friends with, and I was hanging out with him one time, and I told him, because he was like, why are you so uncomfortable around guys? And I was like, oh, like, I told him, and he's like, oh, you were raped. And I was like, what? No, I wasn't. He's like, yeah, you were raped. And I was like, oh, like, it finally hit me, like, years later. And I was like, oh, that's why I felt so ashamed. So he was like the only person that knew, and I was like, okay, like, it hit me, and he was kind of trying to help me work through it. He's a guy, so he's only gonna get so far.
Okay.
And yeah, like, it took me a long time to like get close to guys. Like, I didn't trust them. It was just a lot for me. And my mom, I finally told her during COVID, because I was staying at her house. And I told her, like, Mom, like, I don't know if you remember this date I went on when I was 18 when I got my license. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, I don't know if you remember that I got home late. And she's like, yeah. And I told her why. And she's like, why didn't you tell me? We could have told the police. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. Like, I was so scared. So yeah, like, now I know, like, my mom would have helped me, but I was just so scared to tell her
Yeah.
that I was just scared of what she was gonna think.
Yeah, especially like all the things that she would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
And then come to find out, he's a pastor's son. So when I found out, I was like, God, like, why would you do this to me? Why would you allow him to do this to me? Like, knowing that he knows you. It took a lot for me to forgive him. And I was like, I know that just because people go to church doesn't mean that they have a relationship with you.
Yeah.
And that you have a lot to do with him. So it did hurt me for a while when I found out that he was a pastor's son, because I was like, dude, like, you grew up around the church. You grew
Yeah,
up
he
in
knows the
church.
word. He
Like, you know what you were doing. But yeah, it took a lot of work for me to forgive him, but I've gotten to the point that I did.
I'm glad.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because sometimes I feel like people think that if you forgive someone, it's because you like agree with what happened, and it's more like you're freeing yourself from carrying that anger and weight for yourself, not for the other person.
Absolutely.
No.
Like, going through that too, like, it's so hard to say those words. Like, it just feels so ugly saying, like, this is what happened to me. And it's just being able to say, like, no, I was raped. Like, it's such a growing feeling, being able to leave it in the past, but acknowledging it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because for the longest I felt like dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like, well, like my mom would tell me it's your fault. I would even think about it like, well, yeah, maybe if I didn't leave, it wouldn't have happened.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where I remember driving up the mountains. Because I get asked when I do share it, you didn't call the cops? You didn't do a police report? And I'm like, I don't think people understand that mentally it has an impact
Mm-hmm.
on you, where my mind wasn't on like trying to call the cops or
Yeah.
or thinking, let me do a report, let me document. Like my mind wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot to thank to my ex-husband, because he was very empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
I told him what happened. That's, I think, maybe part of the reason why he also offered the last name for Ezra. But I feel like, because, you know, after we separated initially, he was very mad, very upset.
Mm-hmm.
But after a while, I feel like we were able to we were texting,
Yeah.
and he did apologize, because I feel he finally saw like I didn't do my part as a husband.
Mm-hmm.
And he apologized, and he said, like, you know, I pray that you find someone that truly knows how to value you, because I didn't. I think that that's what made me like not resent him.
Yeah.
So I told him what happened, and I would tell him like, when it was his weekend with the kids, I would tell him that I would drive up to the mountains, Azusa.
Mm-hmm.
And initially I would park, and I liked going out at night to look at like the stars, you know. It's a nice view.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a lot of moments where I would like get closer to the cliff than I should.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of thoughts about like, the guilt, the like, my life is kind of over now. I don't have a job. I was a stay-at-home wife for so many years that I don't have like a resume. I married right after high school. I'm like, I didn't even do college. Like, I didn't do anything. I'm like, so like, what am I supposed to do? Like, how am I supposed to move out, get back on my feet? Like, my parents are not supportive. So there was times where I felt it was easier to kind of just jump off the cliff versus healing and looking for God.
Mm-hmm.
That the times that I was more like wanting to do that, those were the times that my youngest with my then husband was with me. Like, something happened that weekend. He was like, because he was either 2 or 3. So because he was still smaller, sometimes if he had plans with our older kids, he would be like, hey, I'm not going to take Ethan because, you know, XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
So the times that I did want to kind of more like actually do that were the times that Ethan was with me. And he would be like, Mom, what are you doing? And I would be like, oh, like,
You're here.
yeah, yeah. And
guardian angel.
I didn't think much of it then, but now, like, sometimes I sit in my room and I'm like, I don't think there will ever be enough words to apologize to God, because like I rebelled so much. Like, I grew up knowing that there was a God, but not like, let's have a relationship with God. My parents were typical, like, we're Catholic, we go to church, especially on holidays,
Yeah.
but never like, let's have a relationship with God, you know. And I'm not trying to bash Catholics or anything.
No.
But it was more like, oh, you have a problem, talk to God. But never like, who is God, who is Jesus, like, you know, none of that.
Yeah.
So me already feeling kind of not knowing God or having a relationship with him, and then feeling like he abandoned me, and just rebelling and having like all these, like, the audacity of me to have like certain talks to him, you know, like, well, you didn't do this and you didn't do that, so you don't get to say anything, you know?
Yeah.
Now I'm like, wow, girl, how dare you?
I think we've all been there where we're like challenging him, and we're like, hey, like, God, if you really love me, like, do this. Or, like, if you, if you really exist, like make this happen for me. And it's like, dude, like, who am I to think that I can talk to you like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have that reverence, obviously, that
Yeah.
relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just full of like anger and resentment that I felt it was okay.
Yeah.
And now I talk to him and I'm like, that wasn't a coincidence. Like, oh, I got lucky. I'm like,
Yeah,
that was
no.
you
Yes.
using my son and putting it in my ex-husband's heart, or thought like, hey, you're going to do this. You can't take him because I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Even before I got married, there was an instance where my mom and my dad worked at night.
Mm-hmm.
And they had like a route cleaning banks. So I don't know exactly how they got paid, but it was more like the company would calculate how much time it would take them, and they would get paid based on that. So my mom and my dad would they would
Take their time.
no, they would finish faster.
Oh.
So
they
they
could do more banks.
Got it.
So she didn't want the manager, when he was dropping off supplies, she didn't want him to drop it off at the bank, because she was like, if based on their calculations, we're supposed to be like on bank number 2 and we're on bank number 4, they're going to be like, wait a minute, we're paying you too much, So she would have him drop it off at the house. But now that I'm a mom, I'm like, if I needed some guy, a manager, to drop off anything, I'd be like, yeah, just drop it off at the door.
Yeah.
And then leave. Maybe back then there wasn't like the Ring camera and stuff.
Yeah.
But just leave it at the door and I'll get it. Me, the adult, I'll get it when I get there.
Yeah.
But my mom was more like, oh, you need to feed him. If he doesn't want that, Hispanics have like the leftovers.
Yeah.
Hay en el refri, hay un topper with this and that.
Yeah.
Like, heat it up. And I'd be like, that's not my man. Like, no.
He's just dropping off supplies.
Yeah. But she would have me like open the door for him, invite him in, feed him. And my brother at the time he would play outside with the kids at the apartment complex. He would not come upstairs, not to use a restroom, not anything, no water, nothing, unless it was time for him to come inside, because all the kids were inside. This particular time, the guy closed the door, which he never did. He like closed the door, my back is on the door, and he had his hands like that on me. And I was like, I just started crying, because I'm like, oh no, like this is not good. And he locked the door.
That's scary.
And I was like, again, not having a relationship with God. I was 14.
Wow.
Because they were planning my quinceañera.
Wow.
So my brother starts ringing the doorbell like crazy. I need to use the restroom. Open the door. And I'm like, now, my brother would never, he would pee outside and like the bushes or something, but he would not come inside. And now I'm like, that was God.
Yeah.
He sent him, because he got scared and he opened the door and he left. And at that time I had counseling, because my dad had beat me up because I would leave the phone unhooked. Back then there was no cell phones.
minutes.
Yeah. So they would call to check up on us. So I figured, if I leave the phone unhooked, it's gonna sound busy.
Yeah.
So I have to be inside, right? Like,
Yeah.
But I wanted to go outside and play.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to, because I had to be home to answer the phone. So I got beat up because the phone was unhooked and I was outside playing. So I had therapy.
I got beat up for that too. I got beat up for that when I was 13.
And I told her what happened with this guy. She was like, did you tell your parents? I'm like, yeah. And what happened? Nothing. They just said that I was being dramatic.
Oh.
So they were getting close to closing their case, and they told my parents, if you don't do a report and you don't call the job to report that, I'm not closing the case. So then I got in trouble for like snitching and like, oh my God, how dare you, look, now we have more work to do. So when my dad calls, they tell him, oh, he called in this morning and he quit.
Oh.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, but I'm exaggerating. Well, look at that.
Yeah.
But it's like just one of the instances that like God had my brother go, for whatever reason, he didn't want to use it outside. So yeah, it's just been like growing up, not really having anybody to go to, and then feeling like, well, God wasn't there either. So I'm better off on my strength, on my thoughts, on whatever I want to do. And it's been a rough road without God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm like, do you want me to do this? Wait. Can I go here? Can I get permission to go here? And then I just, I'm like, I should have been walking with him a long time ago.
Yeah.
But he's always there waiting for us with.
He works in such funny ways.
Yeah.
Before I realized, or before I came back to God as like an adult, because I only knew God as like a little girl until like middle school. And then I think we stopped going to church as often when I was in like the beginning of middle school. So I didn't find God again until the beginning of this year. And I was bartending for 3 years. And so last year when this incident happened, I got so much worse into drinking and doing drugs and like just trying to numb like all the feelings to the point I got fired from my bar job because I was so drunk. I was fighting with one of the managers, or I was saying things I would never ever say about her in the middle of a busy bar. And I was like, you know what, like I would never have left on my own. And so that was like one thing where I'm like, okay, he takes me out of places without like giving me the opportunity of saying yes or no, because he knows I won't do it.
Yeah.
So that was one. And then another one was maybe a couple months, literally the month after this incident happened, because this happened in May. We went to a rave in June, and then I met my then next boyfriend at that time. And that was such a mentally abusing relationship, and it lasted from June till October. And I saw all the signs, but I've already felt like just so like, well, if this is what I deserve, then I might as well take it. And it got to the point where he threatened to kill my little brother. And I was at work and my manager wouldn't let me leave work. And so I'm freaking out and I'm like, dude, my brother, like someone's literally telling me they're going to go kill my brother. And we call the cops. I finally call my mom and tell her what's going on. And like, that was when I realized like, I've had all these opportunities to just leave. I have support. I have no excuse. And that's when I was like, okay, he's giving me the opportunity to have strength out of all these little things I keep putting myself in. Like, I need to take life seriously now. I can't do things my own way because clearly this is what it looks like, doing it my own way.
Yeah.
And I'm just so grateful I had people in my corner. Meeting her brother in November and I call her my sister, Jess. She's always been in my life. I've known her since 10, but she was my personal trainer at the time. And just seeing her life change because she accepted God in her heart. And I was like, dang. My little brother is my prayer warrior. He's always been like on the behind the scenes interceding for us and our whole family. And it now was like, this is like my final call. This is God's like, look, if you keep doing it your way, I'm not going to pick you back up after this time. And so thankfully I answered.
Yeah.
It took a long time, but yeah, no.
Just because sometimes we can be stubborn.
Oh, yeah. Especially if you learn to be independent so young.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And like I've had my struggles with mental health too. And I think with my mom also dealing with the postpartum depression and me seeing her, it was normal to me. So like any kind of suicidal tendencies, like they were normal to me. And I was like, oh, this is how we cope. And it wasn't until I started going to therapy when I was a teenager that I was like, oh, we're not supposed to do that. Like it's not normal.
Looking at you like, what, girl?
Yeah, she's like, are you okay? But yeah, and like even in 2021 was like my breaking point. I ended up going into the hospital. They put me on a 5150 hold. And
what is that?
it's like a suicide watch. So 72-hour hold.
Okay.
Can't leave. It's against your will. And I just remember like they put me in the hospital like, and I was like, wow, like I'm not crazy. Like I have to go to work tomorrow. And they're like, no, like you have to stay. We have to watch you. We have to monitor you. Like make sure that you're not gonna kill yourself. And I was like, I'm not. Like I'm fine. And they were like, well, clearly you're not. But I was like, no, like this is how I function. Like I'm good. And I was like, there's actual crazy people here. Like I'm fine. I'm normal. Like I was friends with the nurses at that point. Like they were talking to me like, why are you here? You look so normal. And I was like, yeah, like I have to go to work. And one of the nurses was like, I never want to see her again. And I was like, I won't, I promise. But that was my breaking point. And I think like after that, like I really was like, wow, like I really need to like have God in my life because I can't do it without him.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad that you accepted him, and I mean that we all did.
Yeah.
Because we can't do it without him.
It's a lot harder.
Oh, yeah.
And it's still not gonna get us anywhere.
It's
Yeah.
Like it's just like a temporary fix, I guess.
It's just very broken, empty feeling.
Yeah.
Mm.
How are you doing with your husband now? Like, how do you now that you have God, like, what do you do different?
Yeah, so when I met him, the first thing I asked him, like one of the first things I asked him was, what's your relationship with God? Because I didn't want to have a relationship that wasn't like centered in Christ. And with my ex was Catholic, like very Catholic, and I was like, this is not going to go anywhere. Like I was with him for 2 years, and I was like, I see no future with you, because I'm not going to become Catholic. I'm not putting my kids in Catholic school. Like I'm not doing it. So I left that relationship. So when I met my husband, I was like, hey, like, okay, what's your religion? What's your relationship with Christ? And he was like, oh, I grew up like in a Christian church. Like I've been going there my whole life. And I was like, perfect. And so he was going to his own church and I was going to my own church, like when we were dating. And then when we got married, I told him like, I want us to find our home church together. And we did. We started like exploring. We went to a couple of different churches and we found our home at Coin Church. And it's been awesome. Like they're a great family for us. Like it's just they really have our back. Everyone there. It really is a family.
Mm-hmm.
And now with the baby also, like we're kind of just getting used to like parenthood. But it's been awesome. Like, he's my support system and I'm his, and we both we have God in the middle of our relationship, and I think that's really what makes it work.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
They're
Yeah.
so awesome together.
Thanks.
Yeah, baby too.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm really good. I feel like I'm finally at a point in life where it's funny. I shared with Darlene and a couple of the girls from a different Bible study. I was like, I feel like a respectable woman because I've been in the barber shop for 10 years. So being around men all the time and then being a bartender and just hearing like such ugly conversations. Now I'm like, girl, you don't belong there. But no, I feel like for the first time ever, I want to wear dresses now. I want to I always loved my hair and makeup done, but now just like the full image. And I love it. And then dating her brother, he's like my best friend, but he's teaching me how to be soft and he's teaching me how to view myself the way God views me. And it's the first relationship I can say where we can have solid communication and I'm not belittled. Like my feelings are seen. I'm not pushed behind. He puts me in front of him sometimes and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And to think like I met him at work at the barber shop and we were just kind of messing around in the beginning. And then I started getting feelings and I was like, wow, this sucks. And I was like, this is confusing. God, take him away from me. I want nothing to do with him. To setting boundaries, kind of breaking things off. A week later, he comes back home and he's like, I thought I was going to be fine with you as my friend, but I'm not. And I was like, oh, you care, like this could be something. So now I love him so much. I adore him a lot. But I don't know. It's like the first relationship I can say it's a solid, healthy relationship. And it is God-centered. And I feel like, honestly, now that I know God and I know how gentle he truly is like our father, and he carries my hand everywhere I go. And knowing how strong his love is, there's no way I don't want him not in any aspect of my life. Mm-hmm. I want him centered in all of it. And it's just beautiful to see that I can build a relationship with God-centered and still have fun and still be myself. And I've explored more of California than I ever have in the matter of like 6 months. And we haven't even been together that long. And to think, too, I've never dated somebody my age, let alone younger than me. And he's like 3.5 years younger than me. I'm like, wow, this is so weird. No,
like,
it doesn't.
Like very... You guys balance each other out, I think. And he doesn't look his age, so I think it really works out for you.
Like, okay.
Yeah. I posted it was a video on Instagram the other day of like a little monkey laughing, and it said when someone asks how old you are and they're like, no, you're not, you look younger than that. I was like, anytime their family asks how old I am.
Yeah because I'm older than my brother, but everyone thinks he's older than me.
Yeah. I mean, that's good because,
Yeah. I'm like, I'm aging backwards now.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, like when I get asked, I'm like, I'm 28. And my kids would tell me, Weren't you 28 last year? I turned 28 every year.
My 21st birthday.
Yeah. Like so. Oh, I love that. I'm actually struggling with that. Learning to be still in my waiting season. I've questioned God. Me and questioning God. I mean, I just asked him because sometimes I feel like because I was the one that wanted a divorce, I know it's the enemy, but sometimes in like those moments, especially, certain times of the month, that I'm like, is it because I wanted a divorce that now you're not, like, that's not in your plans for me? Kind of like that's your punishment because you didn't put up with it or whatever. That I struggle to set boundaries. There's a person that I don't even know what to call it. I know it sounds horrible, and I hope he doesn't see this, but I feel like the feelings are mutual, and we're like talking on and off for like 5 years already.
Wow.
And I feel that when I met him, initially I thought right person, wrong time, but now I feel like you meet everybody at the right time because that's when God wanted you to meet friendships, whatever it is. But now I'm like more, is this going to lead anywhere? Because like if it's not, like I need God to give me the strength to kind of remove myself. But I'm also struggling with, okay, at what point do I draw the line with being empathetic and understanding and showing grace? Because when we first met, I feel like if we would have been together, I think we would have sabotaged it because we both needed to heal. I feel like I'm in a way better place now, especially walking with God.
Yeah.
That now I feel like now I'm ready, but I don't know that he's ready. And I'm more like, I'm not trying to chase. I'm not trying to do any of that. I'm like, but if there's no clarity and there's no like future, I have asked God, like, guide me, or remove anybody, not just like him, but friendships, anybody that are not for me. And he's still there. So then I'm like, okay, God, like,
what is he here for?
Like, are you leaving him there or like what's going on? Because every time we do like come back together, I feel like it's stronger and there's more understanding and less friction. I feel like we go on solo time and we do like our healing and then we kind of get back and kind of maybe we trigger something and then we go solo again and we, more reflection. But then I'm like, all right, it's been 5 years.
How much more healing do you need?
Yes, because I, in all honesty, I didn't do any healing when I first met him for the first couple of years. But now I'm trying to learn how to listen or how to hear God. And if he tells me like, like that picture of when the little girl's holding like the little bear, but then
It has like the big flowers.
So I'm kind of like trying to have discernment or how to learn how to hear God and say, is this the path you have for me? Is he maybe telling me like, daughter, I need you to go over here, but I'm not listening. So yeah, I'm in that boat.
Maybe he's putting you in a position to get out of your comfort zone and have uncomfortable conversations.
And that too. Yeah.
Because I feel like I've definitely been in that place where something can go for so long until you finally put the end to it. And it's more so not that you don't appreciate it, but time's a ticking and we don't get time back. And if, say, when you guys are together, everything's good, but that's all his intentions are, then at least it's a conversation that you need to know.
Yeah.
Because especially if you are ready to move on to another step, if he's not the one, then cool, that's fine. But at least now you have the understanding and the clarification, like, I can't talk to you no more,
Yeah, and I think that
you owe it to yourself.
Yeah, I think that's the part that kind of scares me, and I use it as an excuse because I'm like, I don't know that I want to have that conversation and it not go the way I want it to go. But going back to that little picture, like if it's not him, I know God has something bigger.
Just pray on it. Pray on it. Pray before you have the conversation. That'll give you some clarity before, Holy Spirit, to ask the questions that you need to ask. And and whatever answer you get, like whether you like it or not, that's God's answer.
Yeah. I'll do it.
I know it's hard.
Yeah.
It is. But it's also kind of like when you get the answer, regardless you like it or not, you're going to feel so much more proud of yourself because you're accepting a situation, whether it's in your control or not. You're accepting God's answer and it's giving you that path that you're asking for, regardless if it's what you want or what you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
And some people sometimes are just meant to be in your life to show you love, but aren't meant to be the ones to love you, but to show you you deserve love and you still can receive it.
Oh, I love that.
And so maybe when you guys are together and things are good, it's because it's a reflection to show you you deserve it. And you do have it in you to have love because that's what God wants you to have.
Mm-hmm.
But he wants you to have it all the time, not sometimes.
Yeah.
Aw.
Preach, girl.
Thank you. Does anybody want to pray us out? Or anything else you guys want to add?
I can pray us out.
Okay.
Dear Father God, I thank you for just allowing all of us to be vulnerable in our testimonies, Father. I pray that it may help somebody that may be struggling with the same things and just see that, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that just having you in our lives is is what helps us come out of it on top. I pray that you just bless everyone that's listening to this, and I pray that you bless these girls, and that you just give us the clarity, to know and discern what you want for us and what you don't want for us. I pray that, you continue to lead us on your path, even if it's not what we want all the time. You know what's best for us, and you know what's coming ahead, and we don't, and we just have to learn to trust you. Yeah, in your name I pray, amen.
I'm feeling a nudge to say real quick that if you're watching us and if you've been through a similar situation, God wants you to know that it's not your fault, that it doesn't matter how far you ran away from him. He's always waiting for you with arms open wide. You can never run away too far where you're not able to come back to him. It just starts with the yes, and just that simple conversation, just cry to him, let it out to him, and he will redeem you, restore you. And yeah, he's waiting for you. So, and if you ever need anybody to talk to, I'm sure we're more than willing. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.